We are back. It is Sunday morning. People ask about these all the time, like if I'm listening to something. There's a really good mic in there, by the way, if you get a pair. Um, Sunday morning. Last night, there were some wonderful fights, UFC fights. My wife is away. She's in a show. She's in a production of Grease. She's playing Rizzo. So it was me and my dog just watching fights. And there were some beautiful ones. You know, I do love sometimes to look at just the moments of the fight because we're really interested in moments now, right? A lot of people will watch a whole basketball game, but there's a whole world of people who just subscribe to the last 2 minutes. You can get only the last 2 minutes of a basketball game streamed live to your phone, which is really cool. Hey, Will Asia, what's going on? We'll take some questions at the end today. So people love moments. And how does this relate to fighting? Well, shit. Fighting creates unbelievable moments. We do fixate a lot on the end, right? Because it's the end. It's like a lot happens when somebody is knocked out or submitted. The fight ends. The consequences are felt. The path has been decided, and it's an exciting moment. So there are many really interesting things, about that moment. But within fights, there are many, many moments, and they all, hey James, what up? And they all lead into each other. In many cases, the choices that you make early result in many of the moments you see late. Jorge Masvidal, of course, flying knee takes out Ben Askren. If that knee is off to, a few inches this way and hits him in the shoulder, maybe his collarbone breaks and it's a different thing. Maybe he doesn't get hurt much at all. It's an entirely different thing. He now ends up on the ground. That moment has led to a completely different spider web of moments that will happen. If they get up again, the fact that he did that knee will now create other belief systems in your mind, in Ben Askren's mind. So moments, fighting, the beauty of fighting is that there are all of these moments, but that they all affect each other. And so part of my job, or as I see it, is to unpack the moment and how and why, what was happening in it. It's easy enough to say, look, that guy kicked that guy in the head. We can see that. It's neat. I'm hoping to find something else to be able to show you. He distracted him. He thought this earlier, this happened that caused, in a lot of cases, what's happening, I'm going to get to Leon Edwards right now. In a lot of cases, what's happening is, and we've talked about this a lot, and we'll talk about it a lot more. You talk to 100, especially modern fighters, and they will tell you that they are not thinking in the way that we are thinking now. What is this? It's the case of my iPad. This is a pen. What does it do? As these are normal thoughts. These are rational thoughts that we have. There's a moment. I'm working on a Ryan Bader breakdown of that left hook. He hit Fedor with it, but he also has hit many others with it. King Mo is the one I'm playing around with right now. And when I say Ryan Bader drops down and has a penetration step very similar to a takedown, and as your hands come down, he throws the left hook to your temple, we might describe it improperly as King Mo sees this and he thinks this is this, but we're talking about milliseconds. What are you thinking in that time? What thought did you have? None. There is no thinking. There's doing. It's algorithmic. Your brain has been trained to behave a particular way in these moments. So that is a lot of the fight itself that we're trying to unpack as we say, he saw he was doing this and then he decided this. And that's not how it's happening. And all of you know this on some level. You may just say, hey, no, I don't agree. Well, too fucking bad because it's true. And you don't need to believe me. Just go and compete in something high, super fast. Try to hit a fastball. And it's very similar. When you're trying to read Ryan Bader's fake takedown that he uses to set up the left hook, it's like that fastball. These guys aren't seeing the fastball and thinking, the shoulder's moving this way. That means it's a curveball. No, their brain just has been trained to make choices based on the information that it's got. And then over time, they train to make it even faster and faster and faster. We know this. I'm not a very good debater. Debating is a skill required to convince people of things. This is just factual. I can offer you the facts. If you choose to debate for some reason, whether you have any particular expertise, you or anybody else, have any particular expertise in how the brain works or how high performance athletes work and or not, you can choose to debate that. But this is so. This is so. Um, so what is going on if that's the case? What your brain is trying to detect patterns. I'm going to get to Leon Edwards. I know it's been 5 minutes, but this is what we do. This is what I do. There's no surprises here. I'm not lying to anybody. This is what I do. Leon Edwards, why is he so going to be difficult for many people to fight, including a high. Somebody said Leon Edwards never goes for the finish. I'll let you in on a point. All of these guys are always going for the finish. It's not like, okay, now it's time to hit him like I really mean it. Every punch that I'm throwing, I'm hoping with belief that I will be the one to knock you out, every single one. Because you don't, okay, now I mean it. Well, now that one will be lighter. The best punches, the best shots are the ones expressed freely. You know, we know this. Thousands of times we've said, don't try to knock the man out. You just try to touch him and pop him and move quick and hit him. We're not sitting there saying, I hope to land 300 punches and not finish him. Everybody is always trying to finish. Whether they can or not is a different story. Will Asia, thank you. You're welcome. But so Leon Edwards, when you fight him or fight anybody, our brain is trying to detect patterns. Now think about Rafael dos Anjos' experience and his brain and his body and the way they work together. That amount of experience that he has, when somebody says he's seen it all, okay, we haven't seen it all, but we've seen a fuck of a lot for Rafael dos Anjos. Things start to fall into place, you know, in a very subconscious. Somebody said, boxing fans, Floyd waited until the ninth to finish Conor. Fact is, it took him 9 rounds. Of course it did. These guys aren't crazy. They're not like, I think I'll just hang around here just in case that there's a 1 in 100 chance this guy might knock me out. So you're trying to learn patterns. Your brain is trying to just detect them. I call it algorithmic thinking. That's, I don't know how and where that term is otherwise used. I don't know if I've heard it somewhere or if it's not appropriate. It's just the way that I feel best to describe it. A sorting algorithm mechanically sorts things. This bubble sort, which shapes everything into one thing. There's many types of algorithms. They're pre-programmed concepts to sort things and do things and create action that doesn't have to be thought about. Your brain does that. You're running algorithms all the time. When you try to park your car, sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's not. You see a bunch of parking spots. On some level, based on its experience, your brain is trying to guess. As the density of cars increases, your brain is like, if I go further that way, your brain is doing this for you. You're rarely having this thought. There probably will be less parking spots, so I think I better pull in here. That's a type of algorithmic thinking based on your brain's experience. That's what these guys are doing. So what am I getting at? Well, it's really fucking hard to sort any of Leon Edwards' stuff, right? You're trying your brain again without your intention is just sort of collecting. Okay, when the leg moves there, this sort of happens, and you start to have reactions based on what your brain starts to calculate. So it's like every time the right hand comes, eventually you slip and do something else, or you move away, and you just start doing it. Somebody say, "Hey, why'd you move away there?" I don't know. Like if most fighters are being truly honest, in many, very, very large percentage of all the moments in a fight, if you ask them why they did it, they shouldn't know. They may later imply, well, I started to see he was throwing a lot of, they'll try to explain the involuntary thinking that they did later, and maybe they can. Because with experience, they look at it and go, oh, I was doing this because this. But really what they were doing is their brain's been trained to react in a particular way, hopefully the correct way, in certain situations. And as it sees patterns, it does those things. This is just what it is. But you can't do that. It's very hard to do that with Leon Edwards. There's no rhythm. There's, sometimes people will say you want to have a broken rhythm. That means if this is my rhythm, this is my rhythm, this is, and we will just break the rhythm. Something else happens, because once upon a time, fighters would get themselves into a rhythm, get that rhythm going. Maybe the other guy would fall into it, and then have certain things that they did. And that's worked great. They'd fall into their rhythm. Now, over time, people, whether they're, you talk to some of the really, really complex ones, Cub Swanson will say, yeah, I deciphered his rhythm and then it was easy. Because people start understanding later that rhythm, whatever benefit it is to you, the rhythm, if I know it, is no longer a benefit to you. It's a benefit to you because you get into a rhythm in which you can perform really well. Your thing is happening. But now I start to see it. So I know when you're in between, as a drum hits, there is the space in between. Hit, space, hit, space. In those spaces of movement, things are retracting, or I'm flat on my feet, or I'm not connected to the earth. That's where you start piecing me up. Okay, so the artist formerly known as Mr. Fluffy said, break your own rhythm before your opponent breaks it for you. I like that. But the best is what Leon Edwards is doing. It's like, you can't really decipher it because it may not be there. There's, again, this is some goofy philosophy, but there is a rhythm. There's a rhythm to everything. There's no such thing truly as chaos. Chaos is just patterns we don't yet understand. But it's, you don't need it to be no rhythm. You just need it to be not decipherable to your opponent. And that's where Leon Edwards is at. There is rhythms, or a series of rhythms, or different rhythms that he blends, or it's arrhythmic or whatever. But that's a rhythm in and of itself. But we start there. And you know what? Honestly, Aldana, is that how you pronounce her name? I really liked her fight with Raquel Pennington, especially the first couple of rounds. She was one of those too. You're like, fuck, what is? Oh, like you're trying to figure out what her time signature is, or and a time signature, if you drum, it's the amount of hits within a certain time. 4/4 means in 4 beats, 4 rhythms. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. There's 7/16. There's weird ones that where within a bracket of time there's certain movements, and then there's ands of those, and all of a sudden your rhythm and your timing starts getting very complex or weird, or suddenly you stop, or you accelerate, or you change. This is key at this level today. It's very little about years ago, 2013, when I started doing breakdowns, and this is normal, you got to start somewhere. We're all just trying to learn. We're all just gathering whatever information. What we'll know about fighting in 20 years is dramatically more than we'll know today. That means we don't know that much of what there is to potentially know. We talked a lot about this kick leads to this punch, and this is the counter to this, and that is so rudimentary now. Like, we're not talking about what they're doing. What they're doing now is so much more big picture than that. They're blending times and playing with space and time, and lying and tricking. When we saw Dan Hooker take out my guy last night, Hooker steps forward with one, you go to counter that one, but this isn't a real one. It was just a step to a feint to the other side shot. The feint drew your punch, and it was a designed play. And think about this for a moment. I'm using a feint to get your punch. What I'm doing is crediting you that you are good enough to counter this shot. And that if I believe that you're smart and talented and good, and you have a weapon ready to counter this, then I need to have something to exploit your counter. It's a compliment. It is a compliment of the highest order, is that I'm going to believe that you will do the thing to defeat me. And by believing that and anticipating that, I'll defeat you. It's fucking beautiful is what it is. And that's the level where we're at. Here's some of our weakness when we're trying to watch and make sense of what. Hey, Greg, what up? Robin, good to see you live. All the best. Thank you. It's good to be here. This is our flaw. This is all of our flaws when we're trying to explain there's a lot. James Vick has a glass chin. Somebody says, I hate to say it, untrue. There's no such thing. Not in the way. Maybe we'll touch on that at the end. Power and chin. I'm doing a piece It's coming out Tuesday here at TSN in Canada on the art of taking a punch. That taking a punch is in and of itself a skill, not an attribute. There's attribute elements, the structure of my jaw and certain genetic elements, but much more it is a skill. That comes out Tuesday. I'll put it out on my Instagram without the footage, and then on TV it'll have the UFC footage on it. But so our problem when we look at anything, if we really want to understand it, if we truly want to understand it, what we have to ask ourselves to do is not jump to conclusions, because in most cases, what we have of the necessary information to make a conclusion is we only have like this much, right? So when we start drawing conclusions on what's happening in a fight, but we're missing most of the information, our conclusion is wrong, right? It is based on, it's a bias called what you see is all there is. If you believe all the information that you have is all the information that there is, well, I mean, then you're going to make all kinds of crazy, decisions and choices and judgments based on what you have. But really, this is all the information. So you're missing a lot of it. And the biggest flaw that we're making now, as all of us, friends, fans, and all of us, is if we see something, let's say that you don't fight, but you watch a lot of fights and you see something, oh man, I think that guy's heavy on his front leg. You know what the answer to that is? We're going to kick that leg. Well, you think you're the only one who saw it? Like, did I just discovered some crazy truth? Come on. Fucking they see it. In fact, they may want you to see it. In fact, maybe what they want is you to throw kicks. And now that you throw kicks, you get fucking knocked out because they have prepared a game to counter your kicks. There's so many levels. The first reaction that you have when you have only a small bit of information, which is all anybody has, particularly if they don't live in the gym and or haven't fought a lot of times and or, are in a constant state of gathering knowledge about martial arts in its reality, is the thing that you think is probably the biggest mistake you can make. Oh, man, like that guy, the secret to him is definitely we got to like shoot takedowns. Wow. If you think, if you can see that with almost no information and no specialized knowledge from the inside, it's because they want you to see that, right? This is what it is. This is what it is. If someone on Twitter or somebody who works in television or somebody does analysis tells you how, and they don't fight or live in the gym, tells you, oh, this is how you should beat this guy. Of course, that's fucking nonsense, right? Of course it is. Of course it is. We do that for television. We do that for entertainment's sake. We do that to create debate. I'm very, very, very proud of the people that I work with in Canada. My one producer, Jason, I love working with him, and then Mark and the people we shoot. He was like, let's do a piece. Like we were exploring the idea of doing a piece on how to defeat John Jones. And I was like, I mean, I'm the guy to tell you how to fucking defeat John Jones? Me? Come on. Like, you don't think every single person that's fought John Jones will look at every potential option and try everything? These are fucking geniuses that have spent their whole lives on this. I'm not the guy to tell you how to beat John Jones. And he agreed. And together we worked on what makes John Jones so special. I feel comfortable talking about that. Somebody, Serge said, nice shirt. Thank you. I do like Poison. Ricky Rocket's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This guy. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah. Shout out to Ricky Rocket. Please send him my best. Yeah, I mean, I'm very comfortable saying this is what makes John Jones good. You know what I'm not comfortable saying? This is how to defeat John Jones. You know what else? Nobody should say, no matter how much study they've done, this is what this fighter is doing wrong, and this is where he could improve. Who the fuck are you to say that? Like, that's insanity. But I know this is what people do for TV. It feels normal. It feels like, oh, well, analyst on, fucking Fox or whatever said this guy needs to work on this. That's, it's authoritative. We shouldn't speak. And I've studied martial arts my whole life. And the more I do, the more I realize that I'm just a student forever. I can't speak from a position of authority, but I can speak from a position of deepest curiosity and fascination. As new things are unveiled and new things are revealed, we believe them to be true because we're searching for truth. And so it's true with the information that we have. And as we get more information, it becomes untrue. And then we go, holy shit, that wasn't what we thought. And we do it again. And this is how we study anything. And this is how we improve anything. And this is how we live an exciting life. Um, so Leon Edwards, so in 20 minutes, what did I tell you other than abstract things about thinking, which is what I love, is that Leon Edwards is very hard to fight. It's very hard to decipher his movement, the time, the bounce, where he is, when he is connected to the earth, when he's hittable, when he's not hittable, you know. Um, then strategically, he was fucking brilliant too. That takedown early had Anik asked him about it. Excuse me, it's breakfast. I also had eggs. Anik asked him about it in the cage. He said, yeah, 100% I wanted to do that. And strategically was like, let's get him down a couple of rounds. That's hard. It's going to be very difficult. Also, what if we don't win those 2 rounds? It's going to be hard, right? But he was committed to it. But not just that, getting him down, awesome. But even when you look at, when you are immersed in martial arts, you see small details that reveal some amount of truth. One of those is if you can pass Rafael dos Anjos's guard and then keep him in half guard and work there, you're legitimate. That's real. That's not like, in the gym, I do pretty good in the grappling and I get back to my feet. No, that motherfucker took him down, passed his guard and worked him. And that was Lex. We will get to Ninja, who has career one of these days, but today is not that day. But I will do a piece on him and a few of the other classics, a few of the other legends. Mark Coleman is a good friend of mine now. I will bring in a number of these guys from the classic time. So thank you for your question, and please be patient with me. Leon Edwards to pass to half guard and work from there, that's real. And you go into a jiu-jitsu gym, you know how good, sorry, buddy. He put a sad face there. When you go into a gym and you know the real black belts and you know that like the brown belts who can fucking actually get positions on them, that's fucking real. That's not like, wow, you didn't submit him or what. Dude, like these small victories, they're the hard ones. Passing his guard when he's just refusing in round 1, and you just keep, the mindset is, I know I can pass it. You keep fucking passing it. And then he kind of starts working for a sweep, half guard sweeps and stuff. When you put an end to that, that's fucking real. That's like if Leon Edwards is rolling with black belts, he's fucking, getting to a quality level there. You take away even the punches and all of the other threats, that guy can fucking grapple. And what do they say about British people in wrestling? The British can't wrestle? Listen, man. Somebody said, lay off the drugs, Robin. You don't look well. No drugs. The lighting in here that I have set up is probably terrible, and I don't look very good today. It's true, but I did get 8 hours of sleep, and I don't take drugs anymore. But yeah, he's real. That's fucking legitimate. That's a guy who is improving in all areas. That's a guy who is constantly striving for martial perfection. And they say British fighters can't wrestle. That dude can fucking wrestle. That dude can wrestle. Yeah. So big fan of Leon Edwards. Enjoy watching him fight. Enjoy trying to decipher it because shit, that's what I do all day, every day for the last 10 years. Is look at little bits and start to see patterns, and that's what I do. It comes quite naturally, and it's very enjoyable for me. I love it. It was also, I look like an OxyContin addict now. Jesus Christ, this is bad lighting. That is terrible. Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a really rude insult. I mean, not to judge people who have become addicted to a powerful thing that was prescribed to them, but yes, I do look kind of shitty in this light. If for anyone who's watching this after the point, and they're like, "What? Who's talking to Robin?" The little notes here that people are doing in the live stream. I do look shitty, I must admit. It's very hot here. Anyways, so now we're getting into some weird shit down here, and I don't know if that shows up later when you watch it. Sorry about the sidetrack, but let's move on from Leon Edwards. I do love watching him fight. It's very hard to anticipate his next move. Very hard to predict where he's going. He's showing you a lot of different things, and it's hard. I know they're trolling me. Jonathan, thank you. But I do look not very good, and it's very yellow. So they may be trolling me, but sometimes, not always, there's a little truth to the troll. So Dan Hooker, okay, we just talked about that. People are putting together things that are no longer just, this is my move, I'm going to get you. It's, this is my move to create a correct response from you that will now be incorrect. So I will create an incorrect response from you by being able to call out something. So you go to counter me and I take you out. It was super cool. Hooker, in the interview, he was like, there aren't many like me. I'm very relaxed in there. And he didn't look relaxed in the first minute, and that's not a judgment. That's just an observation. I'd love to ask him. He might say, "Yeah, it was a little jumpier than normal." What I found interesting in those first couple of minutes, they both felt a little jumpy, and a very easy sort of thing to imply, and could be something to it. And I feel like there is, but again, I don't want to speak from authoritative places. This guy did this because of this. It's not right. We're not getting better at our jobs when we do that. They tell us to do it in certain jobs. Say, you're the expert. Tell them how it is. It's like, no, real experts don't think that way. That's what it is to become an expert, is to be very curious and realize that drawing conclusions is not strength. It is weakness. Drawing conclusions when you know you don't have all the information is mental weakness. Because it's easier. So usually we want to do the easier thing. It's much harder to admit you don't quite know, but then look for the information and hope that over another 50 of these in another 2 years, you will know. You will know what you know, and later you'll gather new information, and it'll become slightly different. You'll learn more. But the two of them potentially could have been jumpy, to because they were in each other's range and they could feel it. Feel is a big thing too. These guys are able to feel and kind of detect things. There's an awareness of space, and there's an awareness of threat that is a very big part of fighting at this level. And so normally, Hooker and Vic can touch you, and you're not touching them, and they know where you are, and they know you're out of range, and they know that the 3 or 4 inches of reach plus the game of playing, that they're not going to touch you, so they feel a little more relaxed. Whereas against each other, that tension, it's like, holy fuck, this guy can get me. It was cool. It was cool to see, and Hooker worked his way through it. And if he was a little jumpier than normal, which again is an if, I hope that he recognized it and then appreciated that experience, because something is rare, it's difficult to deal with. Novel experiences are the hardest ones to deal with. So when you get a chance to have them and then overcome them or change them or be at peace with them or accept them or shape them in whatever way, then you're very thankful for those. So I don't know if that was the case, but beautiful fight, loved it. Big Walt Harris, what do you got to say about that? What do you got to say about Big Walt Harris? I think it was off the knee, through with the left hand forward. I was fighting at bantamweight, but my coach Billy Martin used to get us to gently spar with all of his fighters, including his heavyweight, and the heavyweight would touch you like this, and you go flying, because just the weight of what they can do. And Walt Harris is very, very good athlete. You can see it, like athletics or the athletic platform of a fighter or of any type of performer, physical performer. You'll be able to see it through their feet and kind of how the feet guide the core. Right. And Walt Harris, when that punch comes, he's so connected to the earth. His hip is sideways. There's a lot of stuff that guys are able to do with that forward hand now. I mentioned earlier, I think I'm working on a Ryan Bader one. That lead hand of Ryan Bader's works beautifully because of the penetration step and because of, he's such a good athlete. He's such a great athlete. And then what you want to do with the best athletes of Walt Harris or Ryan Bader is build the skills around the athletic platform. And that's what both those guys have done. They've built skill sets around their athleticism. It's beautiful to see. Arlovsky versus Pitbull. Arlovsky versus Pitbull. Arlovsky the Pitbull versus Rothwell. Fucking love that one too. heavy last few minutes for those guys. But man, Arlovsky looked good. That's another one of those. Arlovsky, Leon Edwards, and Aldana early in the fight, where you just can't fucking sort your way through it. You just can't sort your way through what they're doing. And you got to credit like Raquel Pennington to stay in there and then end up getting the decision. Um, you got to credit the mind when somebody is just having a hard time navigating anything the other person's doing. And you credit Rothwell's fucking mind and toughness. Rothwell got fucked up for like 12 minutes by Andrei Arlovsky. That's not just some dude. That's Andrei Arlovsky fucked him up, and he stayed in there long enough to get to him. So you credit the really sophisticated game of the aggressor, of the one who's running it, Arlovsky, Edwards, Aldana, but then the you credit the heart and the guts to stay into the end. Now, RDA didn't end up winning, and Rothwell didn't end up winning, but Raquel Pennington did, right? Raquel Pennington did win. So by staying in it to the end, 1 out of 3 of those fighters was able to get the win. And so it's almost more beautiful, really. Like and I don't have a judgment on who I thought won Aldana and Pennington's fight. I don't. But to see somebody stay in there till the end and then able to find their way through it, like she did, or stay in there till the end, like Rothwell and RDA, and not find their way to it, it's still beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And somebody asked about Greg Hardy. I don't. There's too much. I have too much bias. I made another video a little earlier. It's back one about a story, the experience that I had, not related to him, unrelated, but that created part of my bias. Robin, do you think Dana will book the rematch with Hardy? No. See, somebody just went to bad places there. Let's take a couple of quick questions. Got a few more trolls today than usual, which is really cool, actually. If you actually aren't a fan of mine, and you hang out here, I'll take it. Hardest part, I would say I suffer from Luke Rockhold syndrome a bit. Okay, I don't know exactly what that is. Are you handsome? You handsome? Because Luke's pretty fucking handsome. I'm jealous. I'm a little gruesome. People pointed out today that I'm particularly gruesome today. I blame the lighting. I set up the lighting, so it is my fault. I always enjoy your commentary, insights, and views at Robin Black. Thanks, Greg. Hey, why did you stop fighting? Then they went on to be a dick. I stopped fighting because I was 45 years old, and I started fighting at 39. What have you done? You can do great things, but you won't do it just kind of sitting there knocking people who do great things. Do you think they will make Masvidal versus Edwards? I do. I do think they will. I do. You think DC will win against Stipe? I kind of don't, but I don't know why. Because really, there's so many. Again, so hold the questions for a moment. There's so many variables that we don't know. Like, does Dan go in there with a knee injury? You know, like there's so many things we don't know. But I don't know. Stipe's fucking good, man. But they both are. Do you think Vic should try to fight at 170? No, I think he should do whatever he wants. So if that is 170, sure. But he has the height advantage at 55, and he likes it. What do you think of the decision for the Caceres fight? I thought Caceres won the fight. I don't know about scores, but I thought Caceres won the fight. Check your DMs. You sent me your fight. I got so many like backed up. I got like 60 things backed up, but I will check them. 60 fights all sitting there in moments and knockouts and submissions waiting to be done. Real Robin, love your work. What do you think about Vic? I like Vic. Do you subscribe to the theory that the weight cut hurts the chin? Okay, that's a really good question. I just did a piece on the art of taking a punch and where it works from a skill level, and it is a skill. And I brought in a doctor, Dr. Faisal Raymond. I'll put it out on Tuesday on my Instagram and Twitter, at Robin Black MMA on Twitter, at Robin Black Martial Arts on Instagram, because my other one was taken down. It might get back up maybe tomorrow or the next day. I have a feeling I might get it back. But the doctor said without a question that it does. He's a doctor. I am not. He said that. So that's BKB in England. How far can it go in your opinion? It's going to go far. It already is. BKB in England, at BKB_official, right here on YouTube. Check it out. There's a bunch of free fights. I have the fucking honor of commentating it. Masvidal, McGregor, never going to happen. Feel like we need to separate fighters past from the sport. Uh, yeah, it's up to you. That's good. You have your way to do it. Don't care about it. You can't influence how other people think or what they do, so don't worry about it. When would you imagine Connor fights again? I think January or February of next year against the winner of Pettis versus Diaz, I think. That's my guess. When you grapple, do you do it commando? Nope. I wear pants. Khabib versus Dustin. Who do you think will win? No idea. Hey, Robin, have you ever felt GSP's bulge when you grappled with him? Wow, a lot of trolls today. No, you wear a cup for the most part. Robin, are you married? I am married. 7 years. You think Masvidal Edwards situation created a false image of Leon? No, I mean, we all think for ourselves, whatever we want. It's like, fuck what other people think. If I'm Leon, I don't give a fuck what everybody thinks. And there is no everybody. There's thousands of people, each with their own thoughts. So I'm not worried about it. And I wouldn't be if I'm him. Diaz versus Pettis, who do you think will win? No idea. When are you coming to New England? I'm going to Rhode Island this week. But not New England for a while, but I will be there this year, I think, for CES. CES is live on Fight Pass this Friday. Greg Rebello, heavyweight. I just did a breakdown of him. I'm doing some others. It's live on Fight Pass Friday night. Come back to Dublin, Robin. I 100% will. I fucking love Dublin. Love it. Then next week, I'll be live on Fight Pass with the World Leway Championship. Robin, do you still work for the UFC? I have two things that I'm doing on Fight Pass the next 2 weekends straight. And I'm a freelancer, and I'm including doing some freelance work for the UFC. And I work for the broadcast partner here in Canada, analyzing the UFC on TV here. Holloway Edgar this weekend, thoughts, plus Cyborg. Woo! I'll do that tomorrow. I will do that. Oh, not tomorrow. I'll do that Wednesday. Holloway, Edgar, and Cyborg Wednesday. But I'll also have things coming out on TSN in Canada on all that. Do you think John Jones is cheating on his wife with Holly Holm? Thanks, love the show. No, I don't. When will Josh Rosenthal ref a main event fight? He's my favorite ref. I don't know. I'll ask him next time I see him. Kick DC off the detail job. I know what you're saying there. People give me a lot of compliments. They're like, "Yeah, you're a better analyst." Listen, I'm not a better analyst. I just did 1,200 of them. You do 1,200 of anything, you get really comfortable. Really comfortable. He's done 2. So I wouldn't expect he'll be as good. But I can't. Not only would they not be thrilled, not be like, "Yeah, this guy deserves this job." Detail is actually a series made to get inside the mind of world champions, not analysts. So I'm very, very complimented that people always mention that. And I'm complimented that they say, and they talk about my skills. But I have done 1,200 of them. If he does one a month, then he'll do 12. And in that time, I'll do another 400. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not a fair comparison. Keep up all your awesome content as a fan. I appreciate your passion. Thanks, Thomas. Robin, have you ever tried steroids? No, but I'm going to be 50, so I certainly would consider something to anti-aging, but especially since people are telling me I look old today. Do you think Henry is cringe? I don't care what he does. Leeway is cool. You've been watching Leeway vids for a while now. Awesome. So it's called Leeway. The Westerners often call it Letway, so I got to get it correct, and I want to be really up on the history and the culture and everything by the time I commentate it next. Did you ever check out GSP in the showers? No, I did not. Do you think Big Dan should still ref Hardy's fights? He seems to hate his guts. No, I don't think he should. I can tell you with 100% certainty that he would be unbiased and could be trusted in every way to ref anybody's fights, whether he liked them or not, 100%. But if I'm him, I'm like, fuck it, I don't want that assignment because he's not happy doing it. So have a tremendous week. Do you think Amanda Nunes grew up her opponents? Wow, really, we got a lot of trolls today, and do you take pride in that? And I'm asking honestly, do you take some type of pride in being dumb like that? Like, there's so much you can do with the world, and there's so much positive you can make, and there's so many ways that you can make people smile, and that ain't it. Hi, Robin. Are you coming out to UFC Vancouver? I don't think so. I've been working in the studio a lot for these shows, including this weekend. It's in Edmonton, and I'll be in TSN studio. Do you think it's Masvidal's best interest to fight Edwards, given that Edwards isn't ranked? Masvidal don't give no fucks. I think he'd rather a bigger fight. I think he'd rather a title fight, but he'll fight that guy. John Jones, please turn on Super Chat. Can someone tell me how to turn on Super Chat? Did you watch Ben Askren versus Jorge live? What did you think of that? Yeah, yeah. I did watch it live. I did a video on it. It is back about 4 videos. It's about an hour on that 5 seconds, but it's really good. Uh, it was really fun. I loved it. It's a special moment. It'll always be there. Um, Thoughts on Kron Gracie versus Cub? Is that happening? Is that who Kron Gracie's fighting? I noticed Kron Gracie is fighting. Is it that? Wow, fuck! I dig it. I dig it. So anyone actually looked? Yeah, we're not talking about Greg Hardy anymore. I did another video on it explaining my own connection, my own feelings based on my personal experiences, and that's it. It's the UFC trying to get Cerrone killed. Cerrone don't give no fucks. He likes to fight. He finds it, stressful, but he enjoys everything around it, and so he's down with any of that action. Serious question. It's not a serious question. Wow, it's weird. Trolls are fucking weird. And I'm not trying to be a dick here, but I do feel for people who are really weird or negative like that. Shit's not going well. You know what I mean? The world is a very wonderful place. There's a lot of you have the chances in today's society to do almost anything. You just got to believe in yourself and have a positive view of things. And you can do that. You eat a little healthier, you get a little more rest, and get a little more exercise, and it changes your perspective. And you start to realize small improvements, you can accomplish anything. You know, Mike Perry versus Vincente Luque. You're biased. You grew up with Perry. I'm biased too. Mike Perry's my boy. He is. I like him very, very much. But that is a hard fight. It's a good fight for him because Chad Laprise fought Vincent Luque, and there's a lot of information in that fight. But it's a tough fight for Mike for sure. It's a tough fight for Mike. It's a tough fight for both those guys. Do you think Cowboy is fighting too much? It's up to him. It's his life, and for all of these guys, I endorse everybody's ability to have the freedom to be free to live the life that they want. Who's your favorite fighter? Cub Swanson's one of my very favorites. Just love watching him move and fight. But lots. Leon Edwards is fucking currently one of my 10 favorite to watch. Would you do a collab with Luke Thomas? Oh, thanks. You two are my favorite. Luke and I are friends. There's at least 1 or 2 chats with me and Luke on this YouTube channel. I think 1 or 2 on his. We are friends, and we have done stuff together, and we probably will again. Yeah. And I think I gotta go. Clearly, I need to go get some more exercise and sun, as people said I did not look good today, and I feel good. I'm getting old. I will be 50 in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Fuck, so wild. Honestly, one thing I can tell you as I leave this, not advice that you necessarily asked for, but maybe it's of use to you. If you understood potentially how good you could feel in your 40s and 50s, and that life can be thrilling and fun and exciting, and you can continue to learn, and you can have you would maybe be more patient and try to do things that might take a long time. Let's say you're 20 and you're like, fuck, man, it would take so long if I want to become a great piano player. Or, I want to learn martial arts, but I'm 25 and I never trained, or whatever, anything. If you realize that at 47, if you take care of your health and you get a lot of rest and you eat well and you exercise, that you can have a really thrilling life in your 40s, then you would start things that would take a long time. You would. Because something only takes 4 or 5 years isn't very long. You want to get good at something. If you're 29, you're only going to be 34. You can be fucking happy as shit at 34. And I didn't know that. When I was a teenager, I thought fucking 50 was so old. I just kickboxed. I just worked out 4 times in the last 5 days. And I get to do what I love every day. I make a great living traveling the world, commentating, fighting. I'm married to my best friend. I'm definitely like a walking example of the fact that you can kind of craft the life for yourself that you want. You know, you can. I swear to you, you can. Um, I gotta go. It has been an absolute pleasure. I just love that you guys come by and hang out here with me. And I will never take it for granted. Please follow me on Instagram at Robin Black Martial Arts. I'm putting up 4 or 5 1-minute breakdowns a day. At Robin Black MMA on Twitter. If you want a Bink shirt or an Enjoy the Hostilities shirt, it's shoprobinblack.com. Thanks. Enjoy the hostilities, my friends.